So hello everybody, welcome, come on in. It's your girl Akisha Dawson, your heart coach and the guardian of the feminine experience. Come on in. Thank you for joining me. All right, so listen, I'm here to talk about things that we're not always given the space to say, okay? And today when we're talking about something that goes on in the Black community that I see over and over, and that is motivation, but taking it to like another level. All right, bypassing. Okay, so listen, ladies, I want to start off by saying be careful who you allow to narrate your survival story. Okay, because a lot of what people call logic is nothing but emotional bypassing that's dressed up as wisdom. All right, so I say this to say, first of all, before I begin, let me just say this is not about arguing. It's about protecting the feminine experience in the Black community, which to me is at risk. Okay, it's at risk because we have a lot of things thrown our way as women, and a lot of us are losing that part of ourselves. But it's all right because we're going to take it back. We're going to take it back, and we're going to reclaim what's ours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So listen, the other day I was just chilling and relaxing, and I saw this video, right? A Black man talking about patterns in the Black community, right? And I was vibing with it, okay, because as an empath, I've studied people my whole life, right? As if I don't have enough to do with my work and my kids and so forth. But I've studied people my whole life. And the thing is, I vibed with him until he started talking about patterns of trauma. That's when I was like, wait, what? When it came to patterns of trauma in the Black community, that's where I disagreed. And listen, I get his intent. His intent was to motivate, and we all need motivation. Some days we're up, some days we're down. We all need motivation. But the thing is, when we tell stories, right, without construct, it can do more harmful than good. When we try to motivate other people without telling the whole story, it can do more harm than good. So from his vantage point, his thing was that it's not generational trauma that's passed down. It's poor decision making. And that vantage point actually supports the patriarchy, because here it is, it's a man who's telling us what's hurt, what's trauma, and what's not. Okay, so I wanted to preface by saying that because there you go, and he wrapped it up in logic. He seemed to be articulate and easygoing, and he seemed to know what he was talking about. So I understood where he was coming from. Like I said, our community needs it. And he used his family as an illustration. And I'm gonna tell you, kid you not, like a lot of those things that he talked about, I could relate with, right? First of all, he talked about his granddad struggling with drinking, with alcoholism. And he talked about the fact that his granddad was a womanizer, right? Yet his grandmother stayed with him and not have one, but 8 kids with him. All right, but here's the thing. What he left out, though, because it's not the whole story, like I said earlier, unless you're giving construct, So what he left out is like what offers, right? What choices does she actually have in that moment? Because I can say this as a modern day woman, right? I can say this as a modern day woman who, even to this day, with more education, I still have limited choices, opportunities available to me. So I've never met the grandmom, all right? And I think he said that he didn't meet her either, but I will say this. In that time period, Black women were at the bottom of the totem pole. Even when it came to our white counterparts, we were at the bottom. You check what I'm saying? So we didn't have any opportunities. There were limited opportunities, if any, for us, okay? And as I said before, as a modern day woman, I still have limited opportunities available to me. So I can only imagine, right, as an empath, not living in that time period, what it was like for those women in that day. All right. So her choices, without naming her choices in that time frame, it distorts her story. It distorts her story, okay? He also said that trauma is only internalized, it's only lived once you internalize, once you stay in that situation. And I have to disagree, because with my work with trauma, right? And all my work in being trauma informed, it takes one time. It takes one time, one event, right? That triggers, that shakes your soul so much, right? That it can literally change your essence. It can literally change our decisions and so forth. So, sir, I will say this. Tell that to my younger self, right? Who was born, who grew up without a father figure, left her island at the age of 16, and abandonment affected her whole life. But what did I do back then as a 16-year-old? I left to escape, right? But it still affected me. So that's to say that trauma does not only, it doesn't affect you when you become internalized when you stay in that situation. You can escape, but you can't escape yourself, which is what happened to me. Tell that to people who experience one isolated incident, right? Victims, right? That change their whole life's trajectory. Their whole life changed who they are just from one difficult change, okay? So, and yes, his granddad, I agree with the fact that his granddad passed down decisions, right? Because he stated that all his uncles turned out the same, like they were womanizing and all that. I get that, but that's literally what trauma is. Oftentimes, people think that trauma is just a pain, right? But that's not necessarily true. Trauma is also the patterns that we pass on from generation to generation. It's not only the pain, right? It shows up in patterns. And that's what we pass down to our kids and grandkids. But guess what? This happens when people don't have support, when they don't have choices, and they don't feel safe. All right? So I wanted to say that because oftentimes we think something traumatic it has to be like something really hurtful, and that's not always the case. It could happen in our patterns, but guess what? It affects not only us, but it affects those who maybe love us, care for us. So we feel that trauma, right? How we react to it, right? React to it affects those around us as well. Okay, so those are things that we carry on, and it's not even consciously, subconsciously, and even we pass down to our kids. And this is why I was so hell bent on doing the healing that I did. Why I've been on my healing journey for as long as I have, because I did not want my kids to be affected by my decisions. Not to say that that wouldn't happen. But I wanted to consciously make an effort to just recreate my life and rebuild my life. And I've been pretty successful in doing so, thank goodness. My daughter is 20, my daughter's 24 and she's like, Mom, I'm making money, have no kids, traveling the world. She lives overseas. And I'm like, yep, I did that, girl. I did that. All right. Those are things that I dreamed of when I was in college at her age. Okay. So here's the thing. When people talk about growth, when people are like, be strong, keep going and all that, right? While ignoring the pain, it becomes forced resilience. And I would have to say that is the one thing that's affecting the disconnect, the ills within the Black community today, because so often we're always cheered on and motivated to do better, keep going, no matter what happens, keep going. I know people told me that, right? People told me that when I got divorced, my whole life, my whole illusion got broken, and I heard, be strong. And I'm like, what? I hear you. And those things you do need motivation, like I said earlier, but we also have to address the fact that we're human. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So when we say stuff like, keep going, be strong, we're putting shame to healing. We're putting shame to the events that occur in the human experience. And because of that, people, no matter how they feel, they try to move forward in life and achieve these goals. And ultimately, oftentimes, they can't get past their traumas that affected them. Why? Because they heard, keep going, be strong, right? No one in the Black community, oftentimes, let me not say all the time, in the Black community, we don't often acknowledge the pain as though it's truth. And it is truth. And it's time that we stop that. I know it happened to me. So I could only imagine how many people if it's occurred to. So listen, if you have ever been championed to move forward when like your world, the rug has been slipped under your feet and you can relate. Hey, Megan. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat. If you can really tell me I'm not the only woman, the only human being who's gone through something like really a life-changing event. Or is it just me? It can be only me because this is a human experience. So if you have undergone a life-changing event, and people encourage you, but they did not acknowledge your hurt, put a 1 in the chat. Let me know that I'm not the only one. So I say this all to say that strength does not rewrite our history, right? All it does is it keeps us alive. It's that essence that keeps us alive so we can tell our stories and tell the truth. So poor decisions. I get what he was saying. He was trying to respin, do his thing, and respin his idea, his concept. But poor decisions is a symptom of generational trauma. It's not separate from generational trauma. All right. Okay. So, and let me just end with this. I'm going to end with this, and then I'm going to get out of you guys here. So I want to say this. I'm sharing this because I want to protect the feminine experience. I want to protect the Black feminine experience, right? And because his video was viewed by millions of women, right? Millions of women, I felt like it was my duty to just speak on this because it's not something that's shared about a lot. And I want to share this for other women like myself who have experienced, right, Black boys and Black men who weren't very kind. Not because they're bad people, but because they too were going through their own generational traumas and didn't have the tools to deal with them. Just so that we can know that, like, that's life. And sometimes life sucks. But life is amazing, and everything that happens to us happens for us. It's for a reason. So again, this wasn't about blaming. This is about telling the truth about us, about our experiences, and not allowing other people to tell our stories. And it's okay to say, this hurt. That hurt me to the core. It's okay to be human. Listen, if we were bots and if we were AI women, then yeah, maybe you could say, keep going, be strong, right? If we didn't have any consciousness, but we're literally human beings, right? We feel, we have emotions, and that's why we should pause and heal. Listen, I know that I'm not a tall, good-looking man, right? The kind of voice that often gets amplified in the Black community. But listen, when it comes to like the relationship spaces, but I'm a woman and I've lived this. I have studied it, and I've helped other women walk through this. So if you have a sister friend who deserves to feel seen and not judged, share this video with her. And I'll see you guys on the next live. Thank you guys for joining me, and I love you guys. Take care. For joining me, and I love you guys. Take care.